Hey, here are 5 stupid things I noticed about 2013. NSA outrage. Here's the thing about the NSA scandal that was triggered over the summer by the Edward Snowden leaks. I get why people were so upset. What I don't get is why everybody acted so surprised. I mean, yes, the scope, the scale of the operation was kind of overwhelming, but we've known that our government does things like this for years. My theory, which I stated at the time when this story first broke, is that people weren't really upset over what the NSA is doing. They were upset over the fact that the Snowden story was forcing them to think about it when they would rather go back to pretending it isn't happening and getting on with their lives, which, in case you haven't noticed, is pretty much what we've all done. So much racism. I wouldn't go so far as to say 2013 was a good year to be a racist white person, but those folks certainly seemed a lot more active than on average, at least if you go by the news. There were the revelations that Paula Deen planned an antebellum plantation wedding for her brother, and also the allegations that she felt at liberty to toss the word nigger around at work. There were the allegations that black patrons of Barney's New York were profiled and discriminated against regularly by employees of the store. There was the U.S. Supreme Court striking down the pre-clearance provision of the Voting Rights Act, for Christ's sake. And right at the end of the year, following the death of Nelson Mandela, there was the Southern white sheriff who refused to lower his department's American flag to half-staff to honor Mandela. Although, maybe I should strike that last one. I mean, I don't know that that one was racially motivated. It may not have been. Also, apparently it's just straight up legal to shoot a black person in Florida now. Man of Steel. Fuck that movie! Fuck it for releasing those haunting lyrical trailers last year that made it look like it was going to be some serious, artful meditation on themes of alienation and responsibility and heroism. And fuck it for actually turning out to be a loud, tedious, cynical, joyless, poorly paced, shamelessly derivative, uncreative, Avengers-envying piece of fucking disaster porn. Oh, but hey, at least we finally got to see Superman punch people, right? As you can tell, my regard for the film has not grown since my initial review. Shittiest Congress ever. I've beaten this drum a few times these last several months, so allow me to reiterate ever so briefly. The 113th Congress is the least productive, most bitterly partisan, most useless, generally worst Congress in the history of the United States. In 2013, it passed next to no significant legislation and shut down the government for 16 days because some of its members didn't want to implement a law it had already passed. It's an embarrassment to the Constitution it's meant to uphold and to the people its members are meant to represent. Every single one of its members should be deeply ashamed of themselves and the body they comprise. Fuck it. Fuck it worse than Man of Steel. The year without gun control. A little over a year ago, 26 people, including 20 young children, were murdered in a mass shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. It was a shocking act of violence that commanded the attention of the entire world, and in its aftermath, we Americans seemed finally poised to have a serious and seriously overdue conversation about our guns. Well, that was last year. As it turns out, we never actually had that conversation, and with a few exceptions at the state and local level, including my state of Maryland, we passed no significant new gun control legislation, and we really made no attempt to change our romantic and often fetishistic attitudes toward our firearms. Instead, we allowed the gun lobby, particularly the never more contemptible leaders of the National Rifle Association, to drive the bus. You know, in the wake of the Sandy Hook shooting, those who advocated for more and better gun control tried to frame the issue in terms of a choice: our children or our guns. And yes, that's an appeal to emotion, that's reductive, that's hyperbolic. Nevertheless, we made the choice, didn't we, as a country? And we sure as hell chose our guns. But that's not the most damning part. The most damning part is that, in retrospect, our choice was never really in doubt. The hardest part is only picking 5. Catch you next time.